Moo and good evening, everybody. This is Sean Fogenberg, and this week I am joined by a very special guest, Amy Barr.
Good
Amy,
evening.
what are you drinking?
I am drinking a Wisconsin Old Fashioned.
And what is that? That's just an old fashioned with way more fruit.
It's an old fashioned that's delicious.
Yeah,
Is
you
is
just
the
smash up cherries and oranges and
you just pulverize the crap out of it. No, thank
delicious.
you.
I mean, it is the tastier way of making an old fashioned.
Yes, you can make it sour or sweet. You can make it, brandy or whiskey. I prefer brandy and sweet.
And we also have Antoinette Smith. Antoinette, what are you drinking?
I have a Fairlife protein shake to as my recovery drink from the lovely races tonight.
Yeah.
So hitting it hard tonight.
And I've been sick, and so haven't had anything to drink since last week's Pinktron recording. And I was like, well, might as well make it like exactly a week between drinks. I've made myself a Negroni.
Nice.
Very nice.
I guess, yeah, I think no reason to necessarily follow the standard structure. Why don't we start off with the reason that you guys are here and talk about
Sure.
tour, is it of or day?
Day.
Tour de
Or day.
Boudicca.
Yes. Yeah. So raise your hand if you know who Boudica is.
Uh, I do now because I did look this up last year when it was happening.
I didn't know until a couple days ago. So
Very nice. So I'm going to put in a plug for I am a regular podcast listener of all kinds of different podcasts. There is a podcast called Noble Blood by Dana Schwartz, which is a scripted single narrative podcast about royal people of all stripes in all stages of human history. And each episode is about a half an hour. And she did a great episode on Boudica 2 years ago, January 2022. So look up Noble Blood Boudica and listen to that one.
What's the
So
Cliff's
that
Notes?
was how I learned about it, about her.
What's the Cliff's Notes?
The Cliff's Notes is she was a woman in AD 60, and she was killed in a uprising, an ill-fated uprising that she led against the Romans. She was in what they called Britannia, which is Britain, and she was fighting to defend her land and her people, and they were absolutely slaughtered by the Romans, but they gave it their best shot. And she was a very inspirational leader, apparently.
And
And
does
if you're
that
British, you know these things. So we are all sadly Americans here. So uh, Brits, don't at me if I got anything wrong there, please. But
does that feeling of uh, standing against something but being slaughtered in the process have any, like, does that feel about right for how the Tour de Boudica goes, or like what's the it's a race series, yeah?
It is. So it's always Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They do two time slots on Fridays. So there's a European slot and American slot. And then the rest of the Saturday, Sunday races is midday America time. So like 1 p.m. Central-ish. And it's women only. And everybody does their best to, stand against the Romans or something.
So what were today's races? How did they go? I know that, so today was,
Yeah.
what's the structure? So it's
So
three today.
yeah, so in past years it's been an ITT on Friday. To this year they did three custom length tiny races that they will blend together in some way for the first night. The other two nights, the other two races are focused on team competition. So today was basically a custom 1.9 kilometer race up the Zwift KOM. So you start in the pens in downtown Watopia. You race out of the pen, do the little loop-de-loop, and then up to the Zwift KOM, and then you're done. And so 15 minutes after that race started, there was a custom length, not basically one lap from start pen to start pen of the Champs-Élysées. So the 6.5 kilometers, so you got like the first half lap of the lead-in, and then the first half lap of the actual race, and then it was done. And then shortly after that, it was one lap of Innsbruck Ring. And so those three races took place over the course of about an hour.
So was there also 15 minutes between race 2 and race 3?
There was a little more.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Was
because
it
that
Antoinette? I think it started at 6 p.m. was race 1, 6:15 was race 2. And I want to say like 6:40
Yeah, I think it was 6:40.
was race 3.
that makes more sense.
Yeah, you can't do the full. I mean, I think we did the Champs-Élysées in about 11 minutes, 12
Mhm.
minutes.
Yeah, it was a little over
something
11.
like that.
Then you don't really get any recovery if it's 15-minute
No.
time period. Sorry, what was the third race again?
Innsbruck Ring,
Innsbruck
one
Ring.
lap.
So
No,
how did they go?
Antoinette, why don't you? We'll get into how it went for me. Why don't you talk about how?
We'll come back to the incident as it will now be known. We'll come back to that. No, it was good. They first, it's Friday, and obviously, if you have a race starting at a certain time on a Friday, not everybody can make it if you're looking at multiple time zones. So the US raced at 6 p.m. Central Time. And Europe had raced earlier. And of course, it was a much bigger field in the earlier race. So we only had, I think it was 12 in our field in the Ds for the US. I haven't looked at the A through C fields, but certainly a much smaller field. So it wasn't. Hang on. Hopefully, you can edit this out.
I'm not editing. Come on now.
Huh?
I'm not editing.
Oh, okay. Well,
No, I might.
The dogs are barking at my kid coming home from work. It's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but anyway, so yeah, it was it was a real small field.
Yeah.
So it was fairly small. And there wasn't a huge divide between the times or anything because of only having 12 people there. But I mean, it was fun because it was a more intimate group, and some of us know each other from ZRL, that sort of thing. But yeah, the KOM was the KOM in race 1. It was steep, and but mercifully the banner was a few feet before the actual banner. So the actual custom finish was shortly before that. So that was a very nice surprise. Those custom finishes
I don't
are
have
always
to
kind
go
of
for 2 more
unpredictable.
seconds.
Yeah.
I just checked the roster on Zwift Power, and it looks like the A's in the US time zone, the A's had 6 participants, the B
Oh my
had
gosh.
13, the C's had 16, and the D's had 11. And so yeah, much smaller than the European. I think
Yeah.
we're all in for a rude awakening tomorrow. when
Yeah,
we're
it's
all
gonna be
together.
I'm looking at the Europe times,
Yeah.
and there were 41 A's,
Yeah.
66 B's, going on to a second page, 104 C's,
Oh wow.
Wow.
Always
Yeah.
the biggest one.
and 40 D's. So
Yeah.
that is outside of like ZRL races, and even that, like I'm not sure I've seen a bigger field in a women's race in Zwift, and like that's great.
Yeah, it's very good, very good. But
Uh,
yeah, no, it was
the
fun.
fifth running of it. So, I think that it's something to look forward to in the first month of the year.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I know, some of our teammates wouldn't have minded doing it as well, from the Bobcats. Yay, heard of Bobcats. But they had other plans. So, there's definitely, an audience out there for this kind of thing. So I'm glad to see it really strong. But yeah, no, it just, they were obviously they're short and hard, races. And yeah, and I think we probably kind of took it easy just because it was kind of like, I mean, we can't compete with the
Just
European
friends
time.
here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it was
Yeah,
really
but
fun.
even if the Americans are all killing each other in our time zone, we're still probably not gonna be competitive
Yeah.
with a group that has a draft of 100 people.
Yeah.
Like, I have a lot of faith in our abilities, but
Yeah. Well, and of course in the in race one, I just kind of glanced at it. I didn't want to get too discouraged, but the leads, the winners in there were pushing like over 3 watts for the like a number of them were over 3 watts just for that short race. And I think in ours the top was like 2.7 maybe. I don't know. I didn't look really. I'm just making up numbers now. So yeah, it's definitely going to be. I will be partying at the back. Tomorrow.
there you go.
I mean, Antoinette, just looking at race one, you were partying right in the middle.
Yes. Hey, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some herd riders actually did do really. Marjolein did really well in the bees, in the European time zones. I was looking at her, it was 10th, 3rd, and 11th, and it was like, oh, okay, well, you guys just mentioned that your race was like 14. Getting that out of 60 something, that's an accomplishment.
And something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there are lots of other herd riders littered throughout the standings. I'm just real like, but it is so this was originally a herd, and what was it? Was it Aeonian, or what was the other team that originally started this? Or do you
Oh,
remember?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Aeonian. I'm not sure about a herd being involved, because I mean, it sounded scary the last few years, so I just didn't pay any attention to it. But I'm almost sure that the Aeonian group did that.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some really strong riders who have been riding this. So
yeah.
really cool. I don't know what are the next couple of days looking like, and what
Yeah.
races were you most excited about, least excited about? Have either of you done the tiny races before?
Mm-hmm.
I have not, and it's really the antithesis of what I'm trying to accomplish in my training. I go for long endurance rides. My a goal that I'm focused on right now is I'm doing 5 Imperial Centuries back to back at the end of February.
Oh, wow.
Riding my bike across the state of Arizona because
Okay, I was gonna say
I need
why,
to get out of
but
Wisconsin. So I'm riding from California to New Mexico through Arizona.
cool.
So, I've sort of not been doing as much racing, sort of not, really just focus on long distance endurance stuff. So obviously I should do 3 short sprints back to back, and I'll be definitely in good form for those. So we won't know that actually, because I had a technical issue tonight, and my heart rate would not pair to Zwift. And this is where I go off on a little bit of a rant about the the race instructions say, if you have a heart rate issue, it's okay. Just let us know right away. We'll try to work with you, blah, blah, blah. But if you set your event to heart rate required, you get booted out
Oh,
if you don't have a heart rate
Yikes.
monitor. And so like it kept booting me back to the pair screen and I would pair. And then as soon as I went back to the race, it would drop. Like as soon as I went back in, like obviously an issue. I did a Zwift app update right before the race, and there was some weird stuff on the menus, like menus on top of menus. Like I think it might have just not made my iPad very happy or something. But so yeah, so I missed the first race. Or I think that I accidentally hit the thing. You get to choose between repair and leave. Like there's no just keep going option. And I kept repairing. And I think I accidentally hit the leave. Because all of a sudden I was booted out. Or it just like sent me on my way. I'm not sure. But I managed to finish the second race fine. And then the third race, couple of kilometers in, the same problem. So I think I will still get to ride the other two races on Saturday and Sunday.
as long as you can get your heart rate monitor
If I
paired.
can get the heart rate monitor to work out. I broadcast heart rate from my Garmin wrist. And usually it's not really an issue. So not sure what's going on there. I'm rebooting everything and we'll just see for tomorrow. So tomorrow's race is 10 laps of the Glasgow Crit course,
Ooh.
which
As
I love that course, but I don't know that I love it 10 laps.
is it a scratch race?
No, and this is one of those things where I'm not actually sure from reading the race instructions how it works. So the Clyde kicker, the sort of incline one, is fastest through.
Okay.
And then the champion sprint at the end is first across the line. But what I don't know,
Every lap. Ooh.
but yes, but it seems to be that they are doing every lap, and they're doing points 10 deep on all 10 laps, I think. So I'm glad I'm not doing the math on this one. So we'll have to see how that goes. But that should be a barn burner.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. I mean, I know I like 5 laps on Glasgow Crit. I don't know how I feel about 10. Are you excited, Antoinette?
I'm so excited.
I can tell.
We did how many laps was it in ZRL? I actually had to miss the one that it was on
7?
there. 7? Ugh, yikes. Yeah.
I don't know. It was
a lot.
More than a non-zero amount.
It was more than it needed to be.
Yeah. I mean, I like that kind of course. I have no idea if I like 10 times, but I like, I really like the tiny races. I don't get to do them a lot, but I like it where it's basically kind of winds up being a kind of extended hit intervals, where you're, going hard and then you rest and then you go hard, and yeah, I mean, I tend to do really well in those. I mean, I'm not saying I will do well, but like I enjoy them, and like my performance is better than in other things. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I like short, very punchy climbs like that, and then drafting the crap out of the rest of it.
Yeah.
So if you did the so ZRL did the semifinals thing back in March. They had the multi-stage finals, playoffs, whatever. I think that was a 10 lap Glasgow Crit race.
Was it?
It was. I'm looking now, and I lasted 6 with the front group.
I was gonna say, so you're saying we have done it and lived to tell about it.
Yeah. But I mean, there is something to say about it might actually be harder to do 5 laps than it is to do 10,
True.
because people are going harder on all of those laps.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pulling up my Strava history from the one in March. Yeah, that was rough. That was that was a lot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that was 10, all right.
About how long did it take? Were you in C? You were at C, right?
Good question. Yes, I was in C.
Okay.
Took me 48 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
So one was 4.5, between 4:30 and 4:45. Longer as I got more tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be nice also, of course, obviously to have the much bigger field. So it's not, like, oh crap, I'm losing the other 8 people in the race or something, to be like, okay, hopefully there's a middle range group to latch on to.
So over the weekend are all category, or so everyone's racing together. There's just one time.
Yep.
There's just one time. But
Yeah.
I think it's set so that you only see your category. So I think the A's only see the A's, B's only B's, etc.
Yeah.
Oh God, that'd be chaos with what,
One
300,
thing
400
I
people
just
on that little course.
The Flamme Rouge Tour Watopia series. And I do love how they have everything set so that everybody can see everybody as you're going through. And it's really on the ITTs, they let the slow folks out first. And I didn't have my companion up because my phone was almost dead. And all of a sudden I'm just like surrounded. I'm like, what is happening? I forgot that because we're not drafting, they let us out first.
Yeah.
So like,
who are
these people?
Great. What's so tomorrow's Glasgow.
Saturday's Glasgow, and then Sunday is Legends in Lava. Which is my personal favorite because I love the why am I blanking on the name? The
Volcano.
What was that?
Volcano climb.
No, I don't love the volcano
Oh,
climb.
the reverse Titans or whatever it is.
Yes, Titans Grove. Thank you. God, definitely need more booze. Titans Grove.
Not
the 10-minute one, the 2-minute one.
No, but Antoinette, you should love that too. Like just the little tiny micro bursts that you have to go through to get through Titans Grove. I really love that.
And the rollers are fun going into it.
Rollers are super fun. And, Volcano Climb is, as KOMs go, that one's pretty great. It's not super steep and it's not super long, and you can, except for that last little kick at the end, you can feel like, you're accomplishing something.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite routes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Sunday. If I can get the heart rate to work tomorrow, that'll be
is that one a scratch race, or is that also points?
That one is also points. Yeah, so that one is just straight up fastest through on Titans Grove and first across the line on Volcano.
So nothing on the sprint.
So no, we just don't care about sprints on that one.
That works.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, it should be fun. I mean, I've raced a lot of large rosters, and I race a lot of mixed. And it always takes me a little while to get used to racing with women again. Because on the men, I can always drop everybody in the climb, and then I get past like I'm standing still on the descent. And it's always so interesting, to race against women where we're all, there's not a huge weight change, or a huge weight range like there is with mixed groups. So
interesting.
It's fun. And everybody's super supportive. Everybody will have their game face on for about 20 seconds, and then we'll all revert to type and just support everybody.
Yep, absolutely.
Great. So that's Tour de Boudicca.
Yeah.
I guess let's move on to herd racing schedule. So this week in herd winter racing, which I guess I should have checked how the first couple of races went, but I didn't because I was busy. So the race this week is 2 laps of Innsbruck Ring. And herd winter racing is our all categories scratch race. So yeah, 2 laps of Innsbruck Ring. We all know it. We all love it. You don't love it.
I want to love it.
Don't love the leg snapper. I feel like if you love Titan's reverse, you probably love the leg snapper.
Yeah, you would think that, but somehow the fact that I can see the banner I can see the end banner before I even get started. And every time I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be so bad. It's right there. The finish is right there. How bad can this be? And the answer is
Really bad. Yeah.
Really. Like, am I even moving right now?
Yeah, so
even when I'm passing other people or whatever, it still feels like
I think that like approximately a minute like all out effort is one of the worst things you can do. It's I love that.
For your fitness or just for your mental health?
No, I mean like it's the easiest way to make yourself vomit.
Yes.
If you actually go like all out on that climb, you just might lose your lunch.
Yes.
I've never thrown up from racing. I've never thrown up from drinking. I feel like that would be a reason not to do either of those activities.
Yeah. So herd winter, so the Innsbruck Ring is just as we all know, you kind of go around the town, up the leg snapper, and then
the sprint's fun.
Yeah, there's unfortunately herd winter racing, you don't do the sprint really, but yeah. But there is it's a things split up on the climb, and then there's a few K until the finish line to potentially bring things back or recover with the group that you've been dropped into, which is more likely in herd winter racing, because if you got dropped from the front group, you're probably not catching them again because they're faster than you. Yep. Herd beginner racing. Do you both have you both been doing the HBRs? I
recently returned to D. I got kicked out of D on a beginner race last year, where I was filling my oats and made the really poor life decision to hit it real hard one time and got bumped into C. But a combination of my personal goals and Zwift's ever-changing ways of measuring your suitability has put me back into D, and I am so happy. So I am looking forward to doing the beginner races again.
So probably not this weekend because of Boudicca, but
yep.
So this week is on Fan Flats. It looks like maybe the Season Ds are doing 2 laps, and then the A's are doing 3.
That's not so bad.
A's and B's are doing, and that's the A's and B's of the D's. So again, the herd beginner racing is split, is a split category D race, which is great. And then, but everybody can see everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah.
So it looks like it's about maybe 19 and a half K for the A's and B's and 14 and a half for the C's and D's. but yeah, just laps of the flatter top part of Richmond.
Also known as the good part of Richmond.
Debatable. I really like those short
Yeah.
punchy climbs.
I call it the boring part, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Climber's Gambit. So Chris has termed this series, I think, revolutions, like New Year's revolutions. And every one of these races is multiple laps of the same or similar climbs.
Oh, wow.
So last week we did 2 laps each of the Skur summit. So 2 times up the gravel and 2 times up the road.
Ooh, I like that one.
This time we've got 3 times up the rooftop KOM.
No, that's not bad.
So 3 approximately 3 to 5 minute-ish climbs. Let me see, this is via 13K of rooftop rendezvous. And there are, let's call it a 2 to 3K lead in before the first climb, something like that. So I know that others would disagree with me and say they're just going to show up and then do the race, but get your warm up in ahead of time if you're doing that. Mountain Goats this week is, and that's the summit or the kind of climbing race. So this week it is on Shorelines and Summit, which
I just raced that one on Wednesday, I think, with the end of that's a rough one. That is, I think I might kind of love it. But it's so long, and the 4 sprints and then the KOM, like you got to really spread yourself thin.
So the Mountain Goats races do not have points for any of the sprints.
Okay.
So that's an upside. Downside is that it is not the full route. It ends at the top of the radio tower. So
yeah, the one I did on Wednesday did too. Like,
so
really?
It's I think 39K with a finish on the top of the radio tower. The first 25K is essentially flat, and then you do Epic KOM and the radio tower. So that's going to be
harsh.
That's a rough race.
It's a rough race. It'd be worse if you had points on the sprints.
It would. I
so
mean,
you get to break there.
I would guess that is just riding at endurance or tempo until you get to the climb, and then it's a watts per kilo test.
Yep.
Stampede is always questionable on this, so let me check here. It looks
Stampede looks like it's Flatland Loop.
Yeah. So Flatland Loop is, and it's 13K of Flatland Loop, which is the full lap. And even though it is the Flatland Loop, it's not entirely flat. You just don't do any of the climbs really. So you go around up through the little, like, it's in the Umazi part of Makuri Islands. You kind of go around through the countryside, up through the like village onsen, past the like fishing village as you go uphill, go past the castle, but you don't, it's a long steady climb rather than the like short climb up the castle.
Right.
And then you go back down and to the finish there. This is an interesting one as far as pacing, because you are going to be able to gain time by saving something for doing a little bit more on the climby part than on the flat, but probably less so than some of the other courses that we do in Stampede.
Yeah, that one's rough as an ITT. I think you really need to think about your pacing strategy on that one.
Yeah. And then Bullseye is Bell Lap. So that is remember, is that the counterclockwise direction of Crit City?
It's the counterclockwise, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go through the rollers first. You go out of the pens, do the like hairpin, do the rollers, and then the climb up to the sprint. And the sprints are you do the sprint and the finish. It's 6 laps, 11 sprints. I'm not certain on which of the sprints count. Probably not the first lap finish, but I could be wrong. And then, just because next week's podcast will probably be a little late, as they always are, next week's Herd Winter Racing is on Bologna TT. So,
perennial favorite.
Yeah. And what I am not sure of is whether it's actually a TT or whether it's I would guess that because it's in Herd Winter Racing, it is a mass start scratch race on the Bologna TT course. So you stick together with the group as long as you can through the flats, and then give whatever you can on the climb. But we'll talk about it next week, whether it actually makes more sense to try and stick with the group for that first 9 minutes, or whether it makes more sense to try and actually save something to do a good climb, and whether you can save more time by doing your best climb or by sticking with the group as long as you can.
So I'm looking at it on Zwift Hacks, and it is set up for no TT bikes. So based on how it's set up, I'm guessing it is just a scratch race, not an actual time trial. It's also looks like it's 2 laps, up and down twice.
Oh,
it's set
okay.
for
That makes it so much worse.
Okay,
yeah. So it's 1.5 laps.
24.6 kilometers. So
then what is on the sheet is the sheet says 1.5
2 ups and 1
laps.
down.
Yeah, so the sheet has it finishing at 16K, which is finishing on the top of the second climb. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And then HBR next week is Two Bridges Loop, which I really like that course. We did it about a month ago in Herd Winter Racing. You come out of the pens, you do the roller, the S's rollers up over the S's, and then over toward the reverse KOM, but you only do the steep start, and then you go back down. And that will be, let's see, is that just 1 lap? 2 laps. So 2 laps.
The steep start is rough, but it's always such a relief when, are we going straight or returning? Are we turning? Oh, we're turning. Oh, thank God we're turning.
Yeah.
Unless climbing is your thing.
Yeah. So that's the week in Herd Racing. That might be all we've got for the week.
I think that's enough.
Yeah. Good luck with your races tomorrow.
Wish me luck with the heart rate monitor. I think I can handle 10 laps of Glasgow. Maybe I'll just try to lead out my friends.
There you
Yeah. Wish me luck with feeling well enough to try any races this weekend.
go.
I got back on the bike today after I think 6 days off and just did an hour easy, and it was not easy.
Ugh.
Isn't that awful? Like you work so hard to build your fitness up and then you just lose it so fast.
So
So fast.
it is so frustrating because I was probably in the best shape I've ever been in, had done 28 hours over the course of the Rafa 500.
Oh, sure.
Had a bunch of friends who got COVID that I was hanging out with over New Year's, dodged that, and then ended up getting sick like 5 days later.
It's so unfair.
Just like,
Yeah.
So I am
You
very
don't
hopeful.
understand. I'm in really good form right now. I can't be sick.
Yeah, not allowed. I mean, it is entirely possible that I got sick because I did too much.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I'm really hopeful that this is just, an extended rest, 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, wish you all the best tomorrow. You can do it again.
Yep. All right. And with that, I guess enjoy your races this week, everybody, and good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.